Hi everyone, guys, welcome back. So, as part of the previous session, we have studied a brief overview on the PyTest fixes, how exactly we can set up a precondition and as well as a post condition using a fixes. As part of the today's session, we are gonna set up some markers. So what exactly these markers does? Ideally, I can say that you can group a specific amount of test cases, or we can skip certain test cases and we can run only group of particular test cases. All those things will be handled with the help of this particular markers. Okay, and moreover, if you wanna run a particular test or if you wanna skip a particular test, all those things can be done with the help of this particular markers that we have. Okay, so let us see a simple example for this particular markers. So what I am doing right now is I'm creating a new test file, maybe markers. Okay, test markers. As usual, we need to import. Okay, as usual, we need to import this particular PyTest itself. And upon importing this particular PyTest, I was just writing down a function which is a test login. Okay, test login. Print. This is a login flow. The same way here, def logout. I was just copying with multiple functions here, nothing more than that. Def create. I have just done that. Okay, login, logout, and a create are the three different flows that I have created right now. And in general, in order to run here, right, we have already seen how exactly we can execute them from here. So if you remember, the command that we have used is basically, this is the one, right? In this particular one, the file name dot. Okay, in this particular one, we have used that particular file name, and after that, hyphen s hyphen v followed by that particular, okay, followed by that particular name that we have given right now. In order to run a specific test, we can use hyphen k. So here hyphen k followed by, I'm just gonna execute create. I wanna execute only create. So when I run it, as the create is the only one that it has, okay, so yeah, the issue here is basically this is not the test that we are executing. The test that we have here is a test markers.py. So here I'm just removing this one, test markers.py, in which I want to execute only create. As and when you execute it, only the create flow got executed and two were deselected. And for suppose I don't want to execute only the create, I want to execute others. So for the hyphen k, you will be adding a not a create, which means that I don't want to execute the create. Other than create, you have a login flow and a logout flow. Both were executed and both were passed successfully. Okay, both were passed successfully. This is the traditional approach. Okay, this is the traditional approach. Copy these lines of a code, comment it out, and now I just want to convert it into a markers. So how exactly we want to convert it into a marker is at the rate pytest dot mark, and I'm creating my own marker. So this is not a predefined one, this is going to be the user customized one. So I'm giving a name as a sanity, and for this one I'm giving a name as a smoke, and for this one I'm giving a name as a reg. Okay, smoke, sanity, and reg are the three different markers that we have given here. Okay, smoke, sanity, and reg are the three different markers that we have given. And right now, for the same test, hyphen k is, as this is a marker, we need to use hyphen m. So if you see the documentation, whenever you have a marker, you need to give hyphen m for that particular marker. So hyphen m followed by what is the marker that I want to execute? Sanity. See, basically there is only one sanity test, that it is this one basically, right? So it's a bit clear this, and let me rerun it as a sanity. So when it executed, so it is showing a one passed. I know that's gonna be the login one. Three warnings. Okay, that's fine. If you see here, basically unknown marker warning. So whatever the type of marker that you have defined, sanity, smoke, and a reg, isn't being recognizing here. Okay, isn't being recognized by our PyTest. If you wanna do so, they have a given a URL for you, and they are specifying that if at all you wanna use a markers, you need to create a pytest.ini file in which whatever the markers that you want to specify those markers there. So here, what I am doing right now means, for the time being, okay, for the time being, right click, new, and here, let's go for a particular file, and I am naming it as, the file name is gonna be pytest.ini file. Okay, the file name is gonna be the pytest.ini, in which you need to define those markers there. And the markers that I want to define out over there are, so basically I have created three different markers in my program. If you observe, I have defined three different markers in my program. Right. So let us define those three markers here in this particular INI file. So though I have defined this one, so let me see the names. So sanity, smoke, and the reg. So here after placing that, okay, after placing that, sanity, okay, sanity, and then check out the names properly, whether we are giving it properly or not. Sanity, smoke, and erect all are in a lower cases itself. Sanity, smoke, and erect. I have given these three different markers. Okay. Now, upon giving these markers, now open the terminal. Okay, clear it up. Let me try to run the same marker related chunk right now. As of now, if you see, the warnings are not populating. Earlier, we have seen a warning, and now the warning is being not populated. And at the same way, if you don't want to execute a particular marker, you can still use a hyphen M, not sanity. And whenever you hit execute it, other than those two, those will be executing here. Okay, other than those two, that will be executing here. Okay, perfectly all right. Other than that particular one, whichever the things are there, it's being executing those chunks. Okay, perfectly all right. And when you run your Python test, of course, it's going to execute all those things. Okay, you are running this particular Python test. And now here, what I can do is, okay, so def test edit. Okay, def test edit is the new test that I have created, and print edit flow. And for this particular one, what I am doing is at the rate PyTest dot mark dot, see here guys, basically I'm using a skip. So this is the one. So when I run this particular program this time directly, it's saying that, okay, so there is a skip. So let me try to run it again once. Okay, test login passed. So what happened? Process executed, finished. So what is this particular chunk? So launching the PyTest, no summary hyphen q, collections marker dot test login passed, and others were skipped. So ideally, it should skip only this particular editor flow itself. It shouldn't skip anything else, right? Ideally, it should skip that particular editor flow itself. It shouldn't skip anything else. Okay, so it shouldn't skip anything else. So let us see how exactly this is gonna work out. Okay, so once we have all these markers and everything in place, When we are running this runner, looks like there is an issue here. It's not being executing. So what I'm doing right now is whichever this particular flow is there, right? So from the terminal, I just want to give it a try and check it out. So till hyphen v on the test markers, whichever is there, it will execute. So here if see, basically the test is being skipped, which is an unconditional skip. Okay, there is an unconditional skip because of which this test got a skipped. So this is the way how exactly you can add a skip relevant chunk to your test, guys. Ideally, this is the way how exactly you can add a skip relevant chunk to your test. Okay, that's fine. After this particular concept, the next thing is assume that you are working on your scenario where you need a test data. Okay, where you need a test data. So maybe here test marker 2. Okay, I just created a test with a name as a marker 2, and this time what I'm doing is again import PyTest, and here def test login flow, and this time this login flow is accepting the username and a password, guys. Okay, whichever the login flow is there, it's just accepting the username and a password, and this username followed by I want to print that password. Okay, whatever the username that you have, you just want to execute that username and you just want to print that particular password. As of now, we haven't seen how exactly you will be retrieving the data. Ideally, consider that you have defined your data in a JSON file or in an Excel file. You will be getting the data in the form of a list. So consider that we are getting this data in this particular list format. So here, for the time being, I'm just using this particular return statement in printing this particular data. Okay, return this particular one in printing the data. So probably I'm just giving this data in the name as suren1 at the rate libby.com, and the password is gonna be 1234. Okay, the same way I wanna define with my second set of data, wherein which suren2 at the rate libby.com. So this is the data that you are returning as a list. So here for this particular PyTest, what we are doing is, for this particular PyTest, we are asking it to get the parameterized data, and this parameterized data here you need to specify what are all the parameters that you have. You have username as a parameter, followed by password as a parameter, and we are getting this particular data from this get data methods. Okay, you are getting this data from this particular get data method, and how many times you have this particular data. Okay, assume that you have a 10 sets of a data. This program will be executing on those 10 sets of data. If you have a 20 sets of data, this program will be executing on all those 20 sets of data. Okay, so whenever you run this PyTest, basically see here, it's collected two sets of items. So the first one is surendra1 at the rate libby.com, and the second test is gonna be the surendra2 at the rate libby.com, and 100% the test execution was successful. Okay, this is the way how exactly you can define a particular parameter. Okay, this is the way how exactly you can define a parameter in your test, guys. Okay, perfectly all right. Done the deal, guys. So, with that note, let's take a pause here for today. In the next session, we will continue the topic with a further concept. Thank you. Bye bye.